March 11, 2011 began as an ordinary day along Japan's northeastern coast. But at 2:46 in the afternoon, the ground convulsed with the strongest earthquake in the country's history. Within minutes, a towering tsunami erased entire towns. More than 20,000 lives were lost, and the world watched in horror as a nuclear emergency unfolded. This is not just history. It is the day Japan's fate changed forever. But how? In a nation so prepared, did things go so wrong, so quickly? At 2:46 p.m., a low, grinding roar rolled through the streets and train stations of northeastern Japan. The ground lurched sideways, then bucked, sending commuters stumbling against walls and pillars. Lights flickered. Above, ceiling tiles rattled loose and crashed to the floor. In Sendai, a young office worker clung to a subway handrail, knuckles white, as the world seemed to sway in slow motion. The shaking did not stop. Phones shrieked with emergency alerts. People ducked under desks, some praying aloud, others frozen in disbelief. 3 minutes passed, an eternity for anyone trapped in a swaying building. Outside, power lines whipped back and forth, and parked cars bounced on their suspensions. In Tokyo, hundreds of kilometers away, skyscrapers oscillated gently. But in Tohoku, the motion was violent, rolling, relentless. The magnitude registered as 9.0, the strongest earthquake ever recorded in Japan. Trains halted automatically, their safety systems triggered by seismic sensors. Elevators stalled between floors. On the coast, seawalls shuddered, and harbors churned with strange standing waves. When the shaking finally faded, a stunned silence settled. People staggered outside, dazed, clutching bags and phones. Then from the distance, sirens wailed. Loudspeakers crackled to life. Tsunami warning. Along the coast, a cold wind picked up as families looked toward the sea, searching for signs of what was coming next. At 3:14 in the afternoon, the Japan Meteorological Agency revised its bulletin. The expected tsunami could reach 10 meters. This new alert raced across the airwaves, breaking through the static of disaster. In towns along the coast, municipal broadcasters repeated the warning, voices urgent and strained, urging everyone to evacuate immediately to higher ground. But the window for escape was shrinking. Offshore buoys had already recorded abnormal wave heights, and the ocean was moving faster than the forecasts. In Kesennuma, a local broadcaster's voice echoed through emptying streets, repeating the same phrase over and over. "A major tsunami is coming. Please evacuate. Do not return for any reason." Many families, still dazed from the earthquake, struggled to process the new threat. Some hesitated, gathering belongings or searching for missing relatives. Others, hearing the rising panic in the broadcasts, abandoned cars and ran for nearby hills. Along the riverbanks and harbor roads, the cold wind carried the sound of warning sirens. In some villages, loudspeakers cut through the confusion, but in others, the warnings faded beneath the roar of the approaching sea. The official alerts chased a disaster that was already at the doorstep. Every minute counted, but for many, the time to escape was nearly gone. The ocean surged over breakwaters and riverbanks, swallowing the landscape in a matter of seconds. In Rikuzentakata, a wave more than 10 meters high tore through the city, reducing neighborhoods to tangled debris. Only a single pine tree remained standing where a forest once lined the shore, a silent witness to everything lost. In Ishinomaki, at Okawa Elementary School, teachers gathered children in the schoolyard, helmets on, waiting for instructions. Some parents arrived, pleading to take their children home. Others trusted the school's safety. When the order finally came to evacuate, the group moved toward a traffic island by the river. The water arrived first, 74 children and 10 staff members were swept away, their voices cut short in the rising torrent. Along the coast, hospitals and care homes became islands. At Minato Hospital in Kesanuma, nurses guided elderly patients onto the roof as the water rose floor by floor. Supplies ran out. Some patients died waiting for rescue that would not come for days. The tsunami's force did not discriminate. Cars, fishing boats, whole houses were carried inland, colliding and splintering with a sound like thunder. In the aftermath, the silence was overwhelming. Streets where children once played were empty. Family photographs drifted in puddles among broken beams and shattered glass. Survivors wandered through the wreckage, searching for loved ones, calling out names into the wind. The cost was measured not just in numbers, but in the sudden absence of voices and the memories that clung to what little remained. At Fukushima Daiichi, the sea rose higher than anyone had planned. The plant's seawall, built to withstand a 5.7-meter wave, stood between the reactors and the Pacific. But the tsunami that struck the coast measured nearly 15 meters, more than twice the height of the barrier. Water crashed over the wall and swept across the site, filling basements and tunnels, submerging electrical switchgear and emergency diesel generators within minutes. The roar of the wave was replaced by the sudden silence of a blackout. Inside the control rooms, fluorescent lights flickered out. Monitors went dark. Operators reached for flashlights, searching for working gauges. The earthquake had already triggered an automatic shutdown of the reactors, but the heat inside the cores did not stop building. Without electricity, the pumps that fed water to the reactors were dead. The backup diesel generators, designed to keep cooling systems running in any emergency, had drowned beneath swirling seawater. Only one air-cooled generator in Unit 6 survived, too far from the water's reach to be lost with the rest. Masao Yoshida, the plant manager, understood what was at stake. The loss of power meant the reactors were now cut off from their lifelines. With every passing minute, the temperature inside the reactor pressure vessels climbed. Pressure gauges became unreliable. Alarms, powered by fading batteries, grew faint and then silent. Yoshida and his team gathered in the seismic isolation building, lit by emergency lamps and the glow of handheld radios. They faced a nightmare. No power, no pumps, and no clear way to keep the nuclear fuel from overheating. The plant had entered a station blackout, a scenario that until that moment had seemed almost unthinkable. Decisions would now have to be made in the dark, with incomplete information, and the consequences would reach far beyond the plant's gates. As darkness settled over Fukushima Daiichi on March 12th, Masao Yoshida faced a decision that would echo far beyond the plant's battered walls. With fresh water supplies exhausted, he ordered seawater pumped into the core of Unit 1, knowing it would destroy the reactor but might stave off a full meltdown. Within the hour, a directive arrived from TEPCO headquarters in Tokyo. Halt the injection. The message carried the weight of government concern about recriticality, about the irreversible loss of the reactor, about the public's reaction. Yoshida listened, then quietly told his team to keep the water flowing. He understood the consequences of disobedience, but the alternative, allowing the core to burn unchecked, was unthinkable. As the pumps continued, the evacuation zone around Fukushima expanded. Sirens and loudspeakers urged families to leave everything behind. Buses rolled through deserted towns, collecting those who could still be reached. By the end of March, over 150,000 people had fled their homes in Fukushima Prefecture, joining hundreds of thousands already displaced by earthquake and tsunami. Some would never return. The shockwaves from Yoshida's order traveled overseas. In Berlin, The images of burning reactor buildings and mass evacuations sparked a political reckoning. On March 15th, the German government ordered the immediate shutdown of its oldest nuclear reactors. Within weeks, Germany committed to a complete nuclear phase-out by 2022, accelerating a debate that had simmered for decades. In the months that followed, other countries revisited their own energy policies, haunted by the specter of Fukushima. One man's defiance, born in the confusion and fear of a single night, became a turning point for nuclear policy across continents. Today, entire towns remain empty along Japan's northeast coast, silent reminders that disaster can reshape a nation in minutes. As climate extremes and nuclear risks persist worldwide, the lessons of March 11th, 2011 are more urgent than ever. Memory alone is not enough. Preparedness, empathy, and vigilance must define what comes next.